In a stunning fictional twist that rocked the entertainment world, the Shannon, Efird family has once again found itself at the center of a legal storm. Overnight, the internet was taken over by a single headline. Fans were left speechless. Critics immediately demanded details. And within hours, the hashtag #HoneyBooBoo surged to the top of social media trends. This exclusive long-form special report digs into the fictional events behind the case, the explosive courtroom drama, the emotional reactions from family members, and the far-reaching consequences that experts say could change the future of the entire Shannon family. The lawsuit began quietly, too quietly. For months, documents had been filed, sealed, and shuffled behind the scenes. Only a handful of individuals even knew that a civil dispute involving crew payments, production reimbursements, and contract disagreements was brewing. According to fictional insiders interviewed for this story, the situation originated from unpaid production costs, disagreements over contractual obligations, allegations of mismanagement of shared revenue, confusion about crew compensation schedules. These issues, while technical, created a complex legal web. In this fictional narrative, Darrin was tied to the case due to his involvement in negotiating certain behind-the-scenes agreements. Pumpkin was implicated because of her role as guardian, caretaker, and central family figure during a period of intense filming. Neither expected the dispute to escalate into a multi-million-dollar confrontation. Before the public ever heard a whisper of trouble, the tension had already reached a boiling point. Sources close to Pumpkin say she had been juggling, for young children, production scheduling, rising household costs, her sister Alana's transition into adulthood, and now a massive legal threat. One insider described her emotional state as overworked, overwhelmed, and blindsided. Pumpkin reportedly believed the issue would be resolved quietly, long before it reached a judge. Darrin, for his part, maintained that he had never deliberately mishandled any agreements. A fictional friend close to him told our team, he thought the whole thing was a misunderstanding until the paperwork made it real. And once it became real, it moved quickly. The hearing was originally scheduled to last only 2 hours. It lasted nearly 9. One of the biggest shocks came when Alana, Thompson walked into the courtroom. Her presence instantly changed the dynamic of the room. The space grew silent. Reporters, caught off guard, scrambled to whisper notes and snap photos. Though she was not the plaintiff in this fictional lawsuit, her testimony proved essential to establishing a timeline of events and clarifying misunderstandings about filming obligations. Mama June's reaction. June's entrance was equally dramatic. She appeared unexpectedly, alone, and sat quietly in the third row, visibly emotional, clutching paperwork and tissues. Observers described her expression as fear, regret, and hope that somehow the family could walk away from this without more damage. The turning point of the trial came when the court called forward a former crew member who worked closely with the family during a particularly chaotic filming year. Their statement, fictionalized for this narrative, was devastating. They claimed payments had been delayed for months. Agreed reimbursements were never processed. Communication broke down entirely, and certain responsibilities fell to Pumpkin and Darrin to resolve. Even though the testimony avoided accusations of intentional wrongdoing, the judge appeared deeply concerned by what he interpreted as serious mismanagement. When Alana spoke, she surprised everyone. She clarified that during the filming period in question, she was still a minor, heavily dependent on Pumpkin, and had little knowledge of the administrative issues behind the scenes. Her statement was calm, clear, and surprisingly professional. One observer said, she wasn't attacking anyone. She was just telling the truth. And the truth made the situation look very, very bad for the defense. After 2 days of hearings, hundreds of pages of documentation, and hours of emotional testimony, the courtroom was silent as the judge returned with his decision. The ruling was harsh. The court orders Darrin, Efird, and Darrin Pumpkin Efird to pay a total of $2.4 million in damages, penalties, and reimbursements. Gasps echoed across the room. Pumpkin covered her face with her hands. Darrin sat stone still in disbelief. June broke down silently, tears rolling down her cheeks. But the person who reacted most strongly was Alana. She appeared shaken, deeply confused by the sudden shift in family dynamics. Based on the fictional ruling, payment delays had harmed multiple crew members. The family held partial financial responsibility under their agreements. A pattern of disorganization warranted civil consequences. The plaintiffs had demonstrated measurable losses. It was a devastating blow, and it wasn't over. As the family was escorted out of the courtroom, multiple reporters shouted questions. None responded. Only Jessica, walking quietly behind them, whispered, "Please, just give them space." But the media did not. Within minutes, social networks exploded. Fan predictions, conspiracy theories, heated arguments, support messages for Pumpkin, celebration posts from Honey Boo Boo fans, accusations that the ruling was unfair, debates over the family's future on television. Mama June posts a statement. In the fictional storyline, June released a brief message on social media. "This is a hard day. We are trying to keep our family together. Please be kind." Reactions were mixed. It is the judgment that has sent shockwaves through the reality television universe, shattering the carefully curated image of the Savior sister and exposing a financial scandal that rivals the worst Hollywood horror stories. For years, the narrative was simple. Mama June Shannon was the villain, and Darrin and Pumpkin Efird, along with her husband, Josh, were the heroes who rescued Alana, Honey Boo Boo Thompson from a life of instability. But today, a Georgia judge flipped that script, handing down a staggering $2.4 million judgment against the couple, effectively validating Alana's claims of financial mismanagement and misappropriation of funds during her teenage years. This isn't just a legal win. It is a vindication for a former child star who worked before she could read, only to find her coffers empty when it was time to pay for college. We have combed through court transcripts, financial audits, and insider testimony to bring you the full story of how the family crisis moved from TLC cameras to a federal courtroom. To understand the magnitude of this $2.4 million judgment, we have to look at the history of the money. Alana Thompson wasn't just a reality TV participant. She was a cultural phenomenon. From toddlers and tiaras to Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, Alana was the engine of a multi-million-dollar empire. Under the Coogan law and similar protections in Georgia, a portion of a child actor's earnings must be set aside in a block trust, famously known as a Coogan account, to be accessed only when the child turns 18 or 21. When Alana graduated high school and was accepted into Regis University in Colorado to study nursing, the assumption was that the money was there. Conservative estimates placed Alana's lifetime earnings, factoring in appearances, the original show, the spin-offs, and brand deals, in the millions. Even after taxes and agent fees, a nest egg of high six figures to low seven figures was expected. The first cracks in the facade appeared during the filming of Mama June, Family Crisis. Viewers watched in real time as Alana struggled to come up with tuition money. The heartbreaking scenes of a global superstar questioning how she would pay for books were the first red flags that the internet sleuths picked up on. While the show initially focused the blame entirely on Mama June, who admitted to spending hundreds of thousands on drug habits, the timeline of custody shifted the spotlight. For the crucial years leading up to Alana's adulthood, Pumpkin and Josh were the legal guardians. They were the signatories. They held the keys to the kingdom. The lawsuit filed quietly by Alana's legal team earlier this year painted a disturbing picture of the Efird household. While the public saw a loving sister taking in her sibling, the forensic accountants saw a bleeding of assets. The plaintiff's case argued that during the period Alana lived with Pumpkin and Josh, the couple's lifestyle inflated disproportionately to their own income. The suit alleged that funds meant for Alana's living expenses were utilized to subsidize the entire Efird household, including down payments on vehicles, rental property upgrades, lavish vacations documented on social media, covering debts incurred by Josh's lack of consistent employment. A major point of contention was the income generated off the show. The suit claimed that appearance fees, cameo revenues, where Alana was a top earner, and Sister's Closet merchandise sales using Alana's likeness were funneled into joint accounts controlled by Pumpkin and Josh, rather than Alana's protected trust. Perhaps the most damaging evidence presented was the managerial cut. The defense tried to argue that Pumpkin was acting as a talent manager and was entitled to 20% of Alana's earnings. However, the judge noted that there was no formal contract and double dipping, charging for room and board plus taking a management fee, violated fiduciary duties owed to a minor ward. The trial was a tense, closed-door affair, but leaks from the proceedings describe a fractured family. Witnesses describe Alana as poised but heartbroken. She reportedly told the judge, "I am grateful they took me in when Mama couldn't, but I worked for that money. I sweat for that money. And now, when I needed to build a future, I'm being told it was used to buy groceries that I didn't even eat." Alana's lawyers presented bank statements showing transfers from Alana's operational accounts into Pumpkin's personal checking account labeled vaguely as reimbursement. Pumpkin and Josh's defense hinged on the savior narrative. Their legal counsel argued that without them, Alana would have been in the foster care system. They claimed the money spent was necessary for her security, food, clothing, and maintaining a standard of living she was accustomed to. Josh, referred to as Darrin in some erroneous tabloid reports, a nickname that has stuck in the hate forums, reportedly had an outburst in court, claiming, "We gave up our privacy and our peace for her." The judge was unmoved by the emotional pleas, sticking strictly to the numbers. In a scathing rebuke, the court found that a guardian's duty is to preserve the assets of the ward, not to consume them. The breakdown of the $2.4 million, $1.1 million, in missing earnings and diverted revenue streams from 2019 to 2023. $500,000 in punitive damages for breach of fiduciary duty. $800,000 interest and legal fees. The judge stated, "Being a family member does not grant you a license to treat a child's bank account as a community chest. The defendant's actions constitute a systematic draining of resources." The verdict is in, but the war is far from over. A judgment of $2.4 million is devastating for Pumpkin and Josh. Unlike the ultra-wealthy Kardashians, the reality TV paychecks for the Shannon/Efird clan are not infinite. Legal experts predict that Pumpkin and Josh will likely file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. However, judgments based on fraud or defalcation while acting in a fiduciary capacity are often non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. This means this debt could follow them for the rest of their lives. They may face wage garnishment, asset seizure, and liens on their property. This lawsuit has effectively nuked the relationship between the sisters. Sources say Alana has blocked Pumpkin on all platforms. Mama June, in a twist of irony, has reportedly sided with Alana, publicly stating, "I did my wrong, but at least I admitted it." They tried to hide it. With the judgment in hand, Alana's legal team can now begin the aggressive process of collections. While she may not see the full $2.4 million immediately, the victory provides her with the legal leverage to secure her future. It sends a message to the industry. The Honey Boo Boo character is gone. Alana Thompson, the nursing student and businesswoman, is here. For over a decade, America watched Alana Thompson grow up. We laughed at her catchphrases and cried at her family's dysfunction. But this court victory marks the final shedding of her child star skin. By suing the very people who claimed to save her, Alana has proven she is the only one capable of saving herself. The $2.4 million figure is eye-watering, but the real cost was the trust of a sister. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. The family crisis is no longer just a show title, it's a legal reality. Crew, Reddit snark forums, and T-channels, Josh Efird has long been nicknamed Darrin, a reference to the useless husband in Bewitched. But in a twist of irony, Pumpkin is now dating a man literally named Darrin Kitchens. To understand how a judge arrived at a $2.4 million judgment against Pumpkin and her estranged husband Josh, aka Darrin, we must first look at the evidence that sank them. It wasn't Alana's testimony that sealed their fate. It was their own divorce papers. In late 2024, amid their divorce filings, leaks surfaced showing that Pumpkin and Josh declared a combined monthly income of this was a massive contradiction to the poverty pleading they had done on TikTok, where Pumpkin famously begged fans for money for diapers and car payments. The court's question, if you were making nearly $500,000 a year, why was Alana's tuition not paid? And why was her Coogan account, child actor trust, drained? For years, Josh Efird successfully played the role of the background character. In the show Mama June, Family crisis. He was portrayed as the long-suffering husband, the guy just trying to work a regular job while the Shannon women caused chaos. However, court transcripts reveal that this Darrin persona was a strategic defense mechanism that fell apart under cross-examination. Josh's legal team attempted to separate him from the financial decisions. Their argument was simple. Josh Efird is a blue-collar worker. He left the finances to his wife, Lauren. He was unaware of the misappropriation of Alana Thompson's funds. The judge's rebuttal. The prosecution produced hundreds of checks from the Honey Boo Boo LLC business account. The signature on the bottom? Joshua Efird. The judge noted, "You cannot claim ignorance of funds when your hand is holding the pen. Mr. Efird, you were a court-appointed guardian. That is an active duty, not a passive title." Forensic accountants presented an itemized list of expenditures from the joint account where Alana's appearance fees were deposited. While Alana was asking fans for help with college tuition, the Darrin household purchased 3 separate lifted trucks/SUVs in a 24-month period, high-end gaming setups and electronics, thousands of dollars in custom vehicle modifications. When asked how a mechanic's salary covered these items plus a household of 6, Josh reportedly remained silent. The math didn't add up. The money used to buy the toys was legally traced back to Alana's work on The Masked Singer and Dancing with the Stars, Juniors. The most explosive moment of the trial occurred when the united front crumbled. As the threat of a multi-million-dollar judgment loomed, the finger-pointing began. Sources inside the courtroom confirmed that Pumpkin's defense shifted mid-trial. Her lawyer argued that Josh, as the man of the house, a traditional dynamic they often espoused on the show, had final say on major purchases. Pumpkin claimed she was under pressure to maintain an image, and that Josh's spending on vehicles drained their liquidity. Breaking his characteristic silence, Josh reportedly testified that the pressure to keep up with the Kardashians came entirely from Pumpkin. He claimed he wanted a quiet life, but Pumpkin's obsession with social media clout and maintaining the reality TV lifestyle required them to dip into Alana's funds. The verdict on liability. The judge refused to split the baby. You were co-guardians. You signed the checks together. You spent the money together. You will pay it back together. They were found jointly and severally liable. This means if Pumpkin can't pay her half, Josh is on the hook for the full $2.4 million, and vice versa. The courtroom drama was heightened by the surreal backdrop of Pumpkin's personal life. While being sued alongside her ex-husband Josh, the internet's Darrin, she arrived at court supported by her new boyfriend, whose actual name is Darrin Kitchens. This led to a bizarre confusion in the court transcripts where the prosecution had to clarify defendant Darrin, referring to the nickname/Josh dynamic, versus witness Darrin, the boyfriend. The upgrade theory. Alana's lawyer suggested that the divorce between Pumpkin and Josh was, in part, a financial shield, a way to hide assets. However, the $2.4 million judgment pierces that shield. Whether Pumpkin is with Josh or the new Darrin, her wages, future reality TV earnings, and cameo income are now subject to garnishment. Josh Efird is now in a precarious position. Wage garnishment. As a W-2 employee, when not filming, his regular wages can be garnished up to 25%. Asset seizure. The lifted trucks, the gaming equipment, and any equity in property are up for grabs to satisfy the judgment. The reality TV check, WeTV, the network, has likely received a garnishment order. This means before Josh sees a dime of his season 7 paycheck, Alana gets her cut. In a move that silenced the crew and the haters, Alana Thompson didn't gloat. She didn't make a TikTok dancing on their grave. She simply released a statement through her attorney. I love my sister. I love Josh. They were my parents when I didn't have any. But you don't steal from your kids. This isn't about revenge. It's about what I earned. I hope one day we can be a family again. But today, I just want to pay for my nursing degree. The Darrin and Pumpkin empire has crumbled. They are no longer the saviors. They are the debtors. Bankruptcy watch. Experts predict a Chapter 7 filing within 90 days. The appeal. Josh's legal team has hinted at an appeal, claiming ineffective counsel during the trial. Season 8. The cameras are rolling. And for the first time, the family crisis isn't scripted. It's a federal collection action. Stay subscribed to the crew for real-time updates on the asset seizures and the inevitable bankruptcy hearings.